Have you ever wondered how a quiet, picturesque town like Tamworth, New South Wales, that one known for its breathtaking views and vibrant cultural heritage, could hide an insidious web of dark secrets? Brace yourself, because everything you thought you knew about this peaceful haven is about to be turned upside down. Let me take you back to August 2017, a pivotal moment when Mayor Colin Murray traversed international waters to China. On the surface, it seemed like a diplomatic visit, a step toward economic development. But dig deeper, much deeper, and what you find is a maze of illicit deals, deceitful practices, and actions that blatantly violated international laws. This wasn't just any diplomatic tour. It was a calculated chess move in a game of corruption, manipulation, and greed. Picture this: a hidden network of backdoor negotiations where deals were sealed not for the public good, but for the personal and oh-so-secretive wealth of certain influential figures. Activities that crossed the fine lines of intentional tortious interference and anti-competitive trade practices. But here's a harsher reality. These activities didn't just harm the town's reputation or trust. They shattered budding business ventures and dashed the dreams of aspiring entrepreneurs, both domestic and foreign. Back at the local level, Paul Bennett, Tamworth Regional Council's general manager, played a much darker role. Correspondence, signed, sealed, and collected, fluently undermined business agreements, contracts, and partnerships. Imagine working tirelessly on a project only to have it unjustly scrapped, dismissed, or handed off entirely for free against previously agreed-upon contracts. A $3 million public asset with guaranteed pioneering developments cast aside. Poof! Like it had no value. Baseball tournaments, regional swimming events. Forget it. All gone in a calculated act of betrayal to the town's ambitions. But it would be naive to think this was the end of it. Deep within the undercurrents of Australia's bureaucratic structure lies an orchestrated conspiracy. By leveraging his relationships with powerful allies like Barnaby Joyce, Colin Murray ascended into influential roles, unscathed and financially buoyant. Behind the curtains, there are whispers of water licensing fraud amounting to a staggering $210 million, bank laundering schemes, and contracts with sinister motives meant to drain public coffers. The Dungowan Dam, a project with vast potential to bring renewable energy and restore national dignity, has instead become a monumental symbol of governmental neglect, and why unchecked power gives rise to catastrophe. And let's not skip the international web. Think espionage, financial fraud, and antitrust violations. Australia is not working in isolation here. This scandal has global weight, connecting threads to several nations including China, the USA, the Philippines, and Saudi Arabia. This collusion isn't just harming Tamworth. It's shaking diplomatic ties and threatening the sovereignty of the country itself. So now comes the gut-wrenching question. Who do we turn to for safety, accountability, and leadership? The police, politicians, bureaucrats. These systems meant to protect us are the very ones feeding the revolving wheel of corruption, arresting whistleblowers, leveraging disinformation campaigns, forcing dissenting voices into submission, and socially ostracizing those courageous enough to tell the truth. All of this to prolong a system that abuses public funds for personal benefit. Take, for instance, a businessman, someone with a global reputation who believed in the potential of Tamworth. Brimming with optimism, this individual poured his soul, resources, and connections into making Tamworth a model economy. Grand visions of creating tens of thousands of jobs, billions in regional revenue, and a better quality of life quickly turned into a living nightmare. Violence, yes, exploitation, without a doubt, public defamation, absolutely. The very government that should have supported this mission instead sabotaged it spectacularly, leading to years of legal battles that still leave scars to this day. Meanwhile, let's focus on a more nefarious reality that continues to wreak havoc across the region. Drugs. Yes, the spreading plague of illicit substances that crush dreams and tear families asunder. But here's the twist. The suppliers and enforcers you read about in newspapers are merely the puppets. The true faces behind this epidemic wear uniforms and badges. Evidence has shown countless incidents where those tasked with protecting communities have instead peddled addiction, manipulated evidence, and silenced dissenters through fear and brute force. What about the judiciary? The courts and systems intended to deliver justice. Unfortunately, they too are entangled. The backlog of systemic corruption creeps into every corner, from contracts annulled without merit to inexplicably missing financial records. No branch appears untouched by the poisonous touch of criminal enterprise operating under a ruse of legitimacy. This sinister alliance has far-reaching consequences. We see proof of the decay in every facet of societal infrastructure. Schools that operate on shoestring budgets, hospitals that buckle under strain, law enforcement stretched thin, not for lack of resources, but because those in power turn a blind eye to the damage they create through neglect and conscious malfeasance. However, let us not lose hope entirely. While the networks of corruption span deep and wide, groups of brave individuals are rising to the challenge. Every day, more evidence is unearthed, more cases are built, dialogue is shifting, and communities are waking up. This fight is not just about one town. It is not just Tamworth or New South Wales. This is a narrative that reflects upon society as a whole. The moral decay gripping one community is a reminder of what unchecked power, lack of accountability, and greed can do to an entire nation. The fight for justice, transparency, and truth knows no boundaries and must never be abandoned. So the question is simple. What will you do now that you know this truth? Will you turn away, or will you join the fight? Change starts with awareness, but it thrives with action. Together we can prevent future iterations of Tamworth's plight. Together we can ensure that corruption never wins. Stay tuned for the next episode of Unmasking Tamworth, where we shed light on yet another layer of partnership of deceit.